Yes, this is Spencer Sutton, and this interview is with Rob Willford, the Luke Combs band. Enjoy. Okay. You said you was from, or I heard you was from Gastonia. Is that?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Gastonia.
Where'd you go to school at, man?
I went to a little private Christian high school, Gaston Christian.
Okay.
And my dad still lives in Gastonia. Mom lives in Belmont.
Okay, good. I live in Lincoln, which I already knew that, but
Right on. I got to spend some little time there a couple weekends ago. I guess that was last weekend, shit.
Yeah. What first got you into music, man?
Man, that's kind of a tough question, but when I really got into the guitar was when I was 13. I actually saw a guy play Freebird at a battle of the bands that they had at Ashbrook.
Yeah.
And I told my mom, I was like, hey, I want a guitar. My mom was like, no, you're not getting a guitar because you played the trumpet for 1 year and gave it up. And so for the first year, every day after school, I used to go over to my buddy Lee Smith's house because he had the shitty Fender Squire. And I would just sit over there and make him teach me, like, how to read a tab and how to make a G chord. Just, like, real basic shit, but just enough where I could play. And so when I was 14, my mom ended up getting me my own guitar. And then, I started playing guitar because I got really into my dad's old vinyl collection. My dad had all this old, 60s, 70s, 80s rock, which is, I got lost in, Van Halen records, Bon Jovi, Boston, Kansas, the Eagles, Guns N' Roses, all that shit, And so that's really, and Metallica. Metallica was a huge part of me ever picking up the guitar.
Yeah.
Was wanting to learn Metallica songs. And I think that's for a lot of people to play guitar, honestly.
I've never really been. I liked all the other bands. Metallica's not. It's funny. I ain't really ever been in them. But when I was in the Air Force, man, our military instructor blared Metallica every morning, at 4 a.m. That's how he woke everybody up. Just.
Hell yeah.
It was crazy. I mean, you woke up full blast pretty much. I can't even remember the song, but it was pretty.
So, I picked up the guitar trying to learn that shit and just botching it in my parents' basement. But then, I would say around 16 is when I got real. I always had country music playing. I was around it growing up, but I didn't know who sang what. I just had some songs that I liked. But when I was about 16, I really got back into country records. I started just diving into anything and everything I could get my hands on because at that point, how old are you?
I'm 32.
Great. So you get this. We had LimeWire, BearShare, Napster, all that shit. So I was downloading all these old country records and shit and getting into it. And at the same time, my mom had got me tickets to CMA Fest, which this would have been 2004. And it was my first trip to Nashville, and I saw Dierks Bentley play at the time it was called LP Field, but it's where the Titans play at Nissan Stadium. And I saw Dierks Bentley come out on the thrust with just an acoustic guitar, and he played, for the first time ever, he played Come a Little Closer. And that's kind of the moment. That's always, whenever I tell a story, that's the moment I knew right then and there at 16 years old that I wanted to write country music. It was a fucking epiphany. Some people would call that a God thing. I don't give a shit what you call it, but I knew right then and there, holy shit, whatever that guy's doing, I want to do it. And I haven't really stopped doing that since then, but it's just taken me on kind of a wild ride. But to answer your question, I would say around 13 to 16 is when I really got into guitar. I really got into songwriting more towards age 20.
Yeah. See, it's all brand new for me, man. I had a son, and I wanted to teach him something. I started playing, and I started writing songs, and it all started flowing out of me. I had so much built up, probably from when I was 16 to 20. A lot of stuff going on in my life then, and I started just writing. I wrote 30, 40 songs right off the bat.
Oh, that's great, man.
of just
stuff. I always tell, I get asked to the point of just nauseous. But it's like, the thing that I always get asked is like, got any advice for somebody who wants to be a songwriter? And I'm like, please don't think I'm being a dick, but really the best advice I can fucking give you is to write songs. Like, there's no rocket science behind it. There's no recipe. There's no right or wrong. It's literally, you got to do it. And so for a lot of people, it's hard. I'll be like, how many songs you write last week? None. I'm like, well then, don't call yourself a songwriter.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's all brand new, and it's about like epiphany for me, man. I started that first song I wrote. I actually played the harmonica for a little bit, and that first song I wrote, it was about my son. It was right before he was born, and he, I don't know, man. Like you said, the God thing or whatever. It was almost like he wrote me a song from the womb to help me, and it was just automatic, man. And I wrote it in like 2 minutes, and I really think it's an amazing song. But it's mine, so who knows what anybody else would think about them. But that's pretty much what started it. And then I started writing about some bad stuff I got into, or like family members being sick and stuff like that. Just stuff I had built up inside, and it really helped me. It's been more of a therapeutic thing than anything, but.
Oh, yeah.
I'll move on to the next thing. So I had one as who inspires you the most, but that could be the same what you just answered, I guess. But did you have any family members that helped you write music, inspired you to write music, or?
Man, to be real honest with you, no one in my family does anything musical. Where I got all of my biggest influences are guys like Eric Church.
Yeah, I love him.
And same for Combs too, but I mean, I really can't say enough about him because his first record, Sinners Like Me, he released that when I moved to Nashville. So I moved to Nashville in 2006, and I was out here 19 years old, didn't have any clue what the hell I was doing, but I knew this cat from Carolina had put out this record that I loved, and watching him do it was just inspirational on another level. I can't really put it into words, but me and Luke would always, back as far as I can remember, we always talked about, I used to joke around with him saying I wanted to be Driver Williams, which is Eric's guitar player. So just if I had to pick one, it's got to be Eric Church. Now, there's a bunch of songwriters here in town like Jonathan Singleton, Bobby Pinson, the Warren Brothers, Tom Douglas. There's guys like that inspire me as a songwriter. But if you're just looking for one big influence, it's got to be Eric Church.
Yeah, I feel the same thing, man. Eric Church is. Mine was the Carolina. I was in the military. I just went in the military. Carolina was playing all the time, and I turned on. Carolina's calling me home. I was like, damn, they're calling me home too. But
what's crazy about that song? So I was living out here. I'd been out here about 2 years. I was working at the movie theater. I got a call. It was like a Tuesday. I got a call about 9 a.m. It was like, hey, Eric's shooting this little private fan club thing at the Hall of Fame. It's like 20 people. You want to go? And I had to work that morning. And immediately he said, hold on, I'll call you back. So I called into work and was like, yo, I'm so sick.
Yeah.
But dude, I went to this thing, and dude, it was 20 people in like the basement of the Hall of Fame, and he played just him and acoustic guitar. He played Carolina for the first time, and I was like, dude, it was spiritual, man. It was hearing those songs, especially Carolina, was pretty magical.
Yep. And I know he didn't write that one, but he had that one on his thing was Chevy Van. You heard the Chevy Van song?
Oh yeah.
It's out, man. I love that song. I had an old like 60 model Chevy Van, flat front end. Drive around listening to that thing. That was good.
Yeah. Oh, Wayland tune.
Yeah. So like for you and Luke, what is y'all's like creative process when y'all go into either a song, or if you're making a whole record, or do y'all just go song by song and put them together, or is it like a thing like Eric Church did this last time where you just go and sit in a cabin somewhere and write a whole bunch of songs for a record?
That's a really good question. Everyone has a different process. And, you know, it hasn't been long, but it's been long enough now to where Luke and I have had a different process with every record. On the first record, it was nothing but, dude, these songs we wrote, some of them we just wrote, like he would come over to my house and we would get drunk and write a song, or like some of them we wrote out on the road when we were in a van. Some of them we wrote in offices at like publishing companies. But the first record was nothing but a big pile of songs that this kid had written when he moved to Nashville. And so it was, we didn't really know what his sound was. We didn't know what the record would be like. And so from that, after that first record, it really changed everything because we just got so, like Luke, I can't tell you how surreal it's been to watch up close, but like, I mean, the cat, in a matter of about a 6-month period, went from playing, you know, a Coyote Joe's type place to selling out arenas. And because it took off so quickly, we didn't have the time. There were no more of those nights where he'd come over and we would just kind of kick it and drink. Then it became like, the last little bit we've done, he'll go and he'll block off a week. And so he'll take, you know, 10 of his Songwriter guys up to it. The last place we went was a cabin up in Blown Rock. And we'll like hunker down and write a bunch of songs in a week. Now, that being said, a guy like me, I mean, I'm writing every day. Whether it's, you know, Warner Chappell books my calendar, so I have co-writes almost every day. But even if I'm not having a co-write, I'm sitting down with the guitar, and I'm, you know, either picking up something on maybe a little melody, or maybe I have an idea, or whatever it may be. But I take all those, some of them I earmark for Luke. And so when we go and do these retreats, I already come in with like, hey man, check this out. Do you dig this? And different guys do it different ways, but to me, that's kind of how, at least now, with his time being so thin, that's kind of how we've been doing it.
Yeah, cool. So I've like I said, I've just been writing down more of an emotional kind of deal, and you know, I don't. Do you write a full song and then just like it looks on a lyric page, or you know, right on a CD or something, or is it, and then y'all put it together, or with music and take it to a record company, or is it just like we write these songs and then they'll choose which ones they want? And
again, this kind of thing is really like depends on who you're talking to, but just talking about the process I've been involved in, it's like Luke will typically write, you know, we'll call it 50 songs. And then from 50 songs, he'll go and pick, all right, I really like these 20. And then he'll go block off studio time and he'll go record those 20 songs. And then from those 20 songs, he and the record label. But Luke has a lot of input in his music selection. But he and the label will sit down and say, all right, we think these are the best 10 songs. And then that's what makes the record. So there's a lot of like, start with a big pile of songs, whittle it down. There's a lot that goes into that. But what a lot of people don't know is even the songs themselves, like, there's a song on that last record called Nothing Like You. And Luke and I wrote that song 7 times because we just we kept coming back to it because it just wasn't quite right. Couldn't quite get the second verse right. And so the process is like, and sometimes, man, they fall out. Sometimes they fall out in one day. And sometimes they take 7 times. But, you know, you write it till you get it right, and then it goes in a pile to be demoed. And then when you demo it, then he'll pick from there and say, all right, I like these songs. I'm going to go record these songs. So it's a really long, tedious process getting a record.
All right. Yeah. This ain't about the advice you'd give on writing music, but what advice would you give me or anyone trying to get into the music industry and writing songs or guitars? How do we go about doing that? And I guess, like, how did you know that, or when did you find out that you was getting songs written, or did you just take them somewhere, or did you get lucky, or?
I mean, the way it works here in town is, again, it would require, I think the first thing you got to do is figure out what is your direction for what you want to do. Some guys move to town and they want to be a guitar player on the road. They want to tour on tour bus, and they want to be a player. They want to be a musician. Some guys move to town and they want to write songs. They want to get a publishing deal, and they want to have songs cut by artists. It just depends on whatever you want to do. But speaking just as far as like, if you want to be a songwriter, I'm like, figure out what it is that you have to say, and then if you were wanting to like get your songs heard, I would say write a shit ton of music, just like I told you this process with the record. Same kind of thing. Write a shit ton of songs. Pick 3 of them that you think are absolutely your best songs, and go demo those. And I'm going to cut this on, and I'll call you back after we play.
Okay.
All right, buddy. We'll see you.
See you. Oh, okay. I didn't know they still doing together.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, I think we was at, like, you said something about doing demos. So my next question was, what would getting recording or professionally recording my music do for me? How can I use that to further my career or get into the business, I guess?
All right, so let's just use you as an example. So, like, is that something you want to? Do you see yourself wanting to sing music and be an artist, or do you see yourself wanting to be a songwriter? Or do you see yourself just wanting to play the guitar?
Well, it's really built around the lyrics, man. I've been working on my voice, and I think I can sing better than I used to, and I think I sound pretty good, but I got like a deeper kind of voice. So yeah, I would like to, but it's more really about the songs. You know, I just want to get in music, man. It's just like you said when you were 16, and when I found out I was 32, I wanted to do music, or 30, and I mean it's almost been like lightning that. I played for 2 years. I didn't pick up guitar till I was 30. I played 2 years, and then I went and got a guitar from a guy in Georgia, and he said he went to school for guitar. And I was like, well, damn, I didn't know you could go to school for guitar. So I started looking up schools, and I had the GI Bill, so I put in a demo tape or an audition for Berklee, and they got an online program, so I got in that. I just want to be as good as I can be at everything to make, you know, I love playing the guitar, but it's really built around the songs and singing those songs, because I feel like they would help other people, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more of a still emotional deal. Like, they've helped me, so I figured maybe they'll help somebody else. That's kind of how I take it, or I go after it, I guess.
Okay.
So yeah, to answer, I'd like to sing them, but if it was just songs, and you know, I ain't real too big on people singing other people's music. I would rather see somebody, you know, like y'all or Eric Church, and because it's more real to me. But I like it all, I guess.
I mean, the best thing you can do is, I would write a bunch of songs. Maybe you would just pick one. Start with one that you really love. You know, there's guys in Charlotte that do it, but I mean, I would almost, if you're really serious about it, make a trip here, book you a session with some really good players, get in there, see how it works, and get you a song done, and then, you know, keep doing the same thing. You're not gonna, I'm just giving you the cold hard truth, man. You're not gonna write songs good enough to compete at first. You're just not. And nobody does, and that's the name of the game. I don't care who you are. Eric Church will tell you, Luke Thomas will tell you, everyone will tell you. You got to write the bad songs to get to the good ones. And so the only way you're ever going to do that and get better is just doing it over and over and over.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Berklee thing's great. Our steel player, Kurt Ozon, he would be a good guy to interview too, and I can, I don't know if he'd be willing to do that, but I can ask him. But he went to Berklee, and so he, you know, he's a utility player. So like he plays steel guitar, lead guitar, slide, baritone, mandolin, banjo, and he just started playing fiddle too. So, I mean, Berklee is a terrific school for learning how to play, like to learn an instrument. It's great. Yeah,
that's why I kind of went there, because I looked into it, because even though I could play chords and stuff, I didn't really think I was that great at playing the guitar. I mean, I was decent enough to get in, but there's a lot of stuff I have no clue about on it. But so I wanted to just be the best at it in case it would just come down to me being a guitar player like you, and then maybe getting to write songs like you did, like later on or whatever, you know. So I feel like you're the best person to talk to because what you've done is kind of what I would be interested in. Maybe not as traveling as much as Luke Combs does, but
the thing about, you know, I always get called a guitar player. I mean, that's fine. People don't know any better, but I really never saw myself as a guitar player. I never did. I still don't, especially in this town. Like, I learned the guitar just enough to, like, fall in love with writing music. And so, in a lot of ways, it gives me a little bit of competitive edge. I'm just a little bit better than the average songwriter at guitar. But I'm not nowhere as good as a guitar player as, like, real people that play guitar here in this town.
Yeah.
So, it just depends on what you want to do with it, man. Like, you know, some cats want to be good enough to be players that get hired to play on records. And then some guys like me just use the guitar to write songs. It's all about what you want to do with it.
And it's just a side question. Do you have to move to Nashville pretty much to get a deal? I get a job or they're doing that kind of stuff, or as people move in and out or come for a weekend, do a session, then go home, or
the short answer to that is I'm supposed to tell you, yeah, anything's possible.
Yeah.
The no bullshit answer is if I'm calling it like I see it, there's just too many people here that have made that sacrifice to up and move, and they're already ahead of everyone else in line that hasn't made that choice yet. Now, that doesn't mean like you should up and just move to Nashville without, you know, a lot of guys do go the route of like, they come here, right, on one weekend, a month maybe, and then they go home. And, you know, they'll do that for a couple of years. Or you'll know when the time's right. But, like, you can get stuff going without moving here first.
All right, cool.
As far as getting a publishing deal, though, yeah, I don't know any motherfucker that having a publishing deal that don't live in Nashville. It's just too competitive, man.
I just got a couple more questions. I had a whole bunch, man, and I need to cut it down, but let's see. Oh yeah. What's the highlight of your career? Like, what's the best moment you had, made you feel the greatest? And
that's an easy one, man. I mean, I've had a lot of like what I would call surreal moments.
I'm sure.
And you know, those are things like playing the Grand Ole Opry for the first time, playing Red Rocks, playing Madison Square Garden, playing a sold-out PNC in Charlotte. Like, all those have been really highlights. But I think if you had nailed me down on one, it's got to be winning the CMA back in November. Because, I mean, my mom was there. That particular award, Song of the Year, is something that, I mean, I tell people, I've fantasized about that for so long. It's like a kid that, you know, wants to be a basketball player. He sits in his backyard and counts down from three and imagines hitting a buzzer beater. I always saw, like, Song of the Year as being the Super Bowl for a songwriter. And so, a lot of things, man, having that song and having it with Luke and, you know, having my mom get to be there for that for sure kind of stands in a league of its own as far as highlights go.
I'm guessing that was Crazy, Crazy Beautiful Crazy.
Yeah, Beautiful Crazy, yeah.
All right, I just got two more, I guess. Who's a famous musician, or maybe not famous, that you admire that don't get no recognition there? You know, I know there's probably a bunch of people, or not artists.
What a good question, man. There are so many that I could sit on this phone all night, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I actually wrote with the guy I would answer that question is a guy named Wyatt McCubbin, and I wrote with him this morning. I'll send you the song we wrote so you can hear him. But he's a cat here in town. He's a writer and a singer, and you know, nobody knows who he is. I mean, he's kind of well known here in town, but it just hasn't. The timing hasn't been right for him yet, and it will be, I feel like, in the future. But yeah, his name's Wyatt McCubbin.
All right, cool. I'll check him out. Well, like I said, you can send it to me too.
Another Carolina boy that needs a little bit of needs people to hear his stuff is a kid named Cameron Marlowe. He's from Kannapolis. And he signed a record deal with Sony. Like you'll hear his stuff pretty soon if you haven't already. But look him up. His name's Cameron Marlowe with a K.
I might know somebody. I know that knows him. It could be a different guy. There's another guy just got a record deal down that way, and his girlfriend works with one of my good friends at her hair cutting place. But she was talking about, it, and she just said he got a record. Now, it sounds like that's his name, but I ain't positive.
Do you know the girl's name?
I don't know her name. She works at for Cassidy Elmore in Cornelius maybe, or Cornelius, I think.
It's probably the same person.
Yeah, he played for somebody big that just a couple weeks ago, or he opened up for him. I can't remember, man. I think it's his name. They were showing me his video. Is this it, or do you got any more dreams? Anything else you like to do on your own, maybe, or what's next?
My dreams are all built around songwriting. I never stopped trying to get better at it, and I want to win a fucking Grammy.
Yeah.
That's really the thing that I've kind of tried to realign my goal. But Luke's got a record coming out Friday. Got a couple songs on it I'm excited about. But really, just the next thing is for me right now writing. It's over this quarantine time. You got to think about it. For about 5 years, dude, all we did was tour. Especially the last 3. All we did is tour.
Yeah.
So for the first time, I've had the luxury of being off the road, and so I built a studio in my house. I signed a new publishing deal. It's all been kind of I've had to shift gears, but it's been a good thing for me.
Cool, man. That's pretty much the driving force for me too. Is the writing part. It just feels like that's what it makes me feel better, I guess. And the guitar and the singing and all that just supports that. But that's how I feel about him. Even if it don't go nowhere, it's been beneficial just to write.
Yeah.
All right, man. I think that's it. I appreciate you calling me. I didn't really think you'd get back to me, but.
Oh yeah, dude. I remember I had a similar phone conversation when I was just kind of getting into it, and so anytime you got a question about anything, man, feel free to just text me or give me a shout, and I'll help you as best I can.
All right, that sounds good, man. I'll probably take you up on that because I'm excited about getting into it, learning. Like I said, it's been only I didn't start when I was 16, so I'm pretty early in it, but I feel I got time.
Yeah, bud.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Have a good night.
You too.